for far too long. Before I do that, I would like to acknowledge I'm here with Attorney Ray Cameron, as well as Attorney Paul Napoli, Attorney Craig Fenster, and Attorney Shahar Azula. And we have present with us Mr. Reggie Wood, the daughters of Malcolm X, Kavita Shabazz, Ilyasa Shabazz, and Jamila Lamumba Shabazz. So often we talk about Black Lives Matter in America today. No one can argue that Malcolm X is the personification of Black Lives Matter. We're here today to talk about restorative justice because the past is prologue. The fact that Ray Wood, this New York undercover police officer who wrote this deathbed, dying declaration of his involvement at the behest of his supervisors, and explained that the New York Police Department, the FBI, conspired to discredit civil rights leaders, black nationalist leaders, and even worse, to kill them when you consider the assassinations of Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and Martin Luther King Jr. The past is prologue because just as they continue to enact an intellectual justification of discrimination to justify what happened to Malcolm, they also use the intellectual justification to discriminate today to justify what happened to Breonna Taylor, what happened to 12-year-old Tamir Ricefield in Cleveland, Ohio, to justify the killing of Philando Castile, the killing of Terrence Crutcher, the killing of Alton Sterling, and so many other names that never received any form of justice after they were justifiably murdered. Also, the letter is very revealing and riveting because it talks not only about the conspiracy that they engaged in to kill Malcolm X, it talks about the conspiracy to wrongfully convict the Panther 21 and Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, which led to her being incarcerated while she was awaiting trial, that she miraculously represented herself and was found not guilty. However, her prince, Tupac Shakur, because of Ray Woods, the NYPD and the FBI wrongfully and falsely accusing them, her prince, Tupac Shakur, was born in the prison cell. So this is about restorative justice to try to have those black leaders, those civil rights activists who were wrongfully convicted over 50 years ago, to have them exonerated, to have the record set straight that they were not criminals, but what they were freedom fighters. And for that, the United States government conspired to discredit them and take away their liberty. So even though this is going to be astonishing revelation from the past, I remind you the past is prologue. Malcolm X is Black Lives Matter. Malcolm X is Black Lives Matter. At this time, you hear from a great lawyer, Omega Southside member, a good good man standing for justice with the sisters of Malcolm X lineage, Attorney Ray Hammond from New Jersey.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As I stand before you thinking back, 56 years ago tomorrow, take a moment, think about being here today and how tragic events of that day tore through the fabric of this community, tore through the fabric of this nation, and certainly tore through the fabric of this family. And the fact that we are here decades later with information from an undercover New York City police officer that I understand will recount or has recounted in chilling detail of his involvement and the involvement, as I understand it, New York City police and perhaps the FBI. The fact of the matter is the world lost an icon. This nation lost an icon. But the family lost a father, a husband. And as important as it is to the world, it pales in comparison to the importance for his family, for his daughters, three of whom are here. So what we're trying to do, Brother Crump talked about restorative justice, is, as lawyers, to try to pursue relentlessly this justice. On behalf of the legacy of Malcolm X, Dr. Betty Shabazz, on behalf of his family, his lineage, who is here, and who deserves it more than any of us. And that's what we're trying to do today. So, if any of the orders, so we look forward to this information.
Thank you, Attorney Hammond. At this time, because this information is riveting, this is riveting information 56 years past due, being revealed to the world. In doing so, Reggie Wood, getting this information from his uncle who was battling stomach cancer, sought to try to make sure that there was credible, corroborating evidence. And so he turned to his goddaughter, who is a graduate student, to help research issue by issue by issue, to dot every I and cross every T. So at this time, I'll give you Lisette Salado.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Assassination. I was approached by Reggie Wood in order to proclaim the English confession and lead us to the community into a written narrative. Throughout the writing and research that was done in order to corroborate Regal's confession, we found multiple sources that support those eyewitness accounts. Many news sources from that time period confirmed Regal's undercover policer while employed by the NYPD, as well as they discussed Wood's involvement in the Statue of Liberty bomb plot and the security repercussions that resulted in the beginning of politicizing and Walter Road. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is a letter applauding Wood's undercover work in the Statue of Liberty bomb plot while working for the NYPD, written by U.S. Attorney General Michael P. Murphy on February 17, 1965. Regarding documented actions conducted by the police during the 1960s and 70s, their legal surveillance and plot investigation has been well known and documented exclusively, including the direct statements given by County and NYPD Detective Tony Lasso. Regarding the Statue of Liberty bomb plot and the manipulation of the people involved, Wood's confession is supported by the testimonies of Walter Road and Wood Said, both of whom took the stand during the trial and testified that the bombing Security, Muhammad Ahmad, founder of the Revolutionary Action Movement and peer to Malcolm X, wrote, Kuka Saeed, a member of REM, who had been sent to Malcolm's organization to develop a security link, was arrested on the Statue of Liberty bomb plot. Inside the Muslim mosque and OAAU, Khalil's arrest upset Malcolm's internal security. It also set forth the public premise that the intelligence forces wanted for conspiracy. An FBI document released in 2011, papers of James Campbell reveal a leaking note from March 6, 1965, written by activist Yuri Graziano. The note states, Ray Wood is said to have been seen also running out of the auto, was one of two picked up by police. He was the second person running out. The accumulations of these facts not only support Ray Wood's confession, but they establish the circumstances that surround the Statue of Liberty bomb plot that led to the detainment of Bowen Said, subsequently preventing them from providing Malcolm X's security that could have prevented Congress from entering the Ottoman Law on that fateful day, February 21st, 1965. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizette. As you heard, NYPD and FBI orchestrated this meticulously, going to get the two people who Malcolm X depended on mostly for security, Brother Saeed and Brother Walter Bowen. They worked on for weeks to coerce them into this scheme to blow up the Statue of Liberty. Talking about black people don't have liberty, so we need to send a message to blow up the Statue of Liberty. And Saeed and Bo, who came from SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, had no violence in their past. And they said it was this guy who coerced us, who kept talking about this, what we got to do to send a message. And so he coerced them to do this plot, of which they were arrested by the FBI, and he was applauded as a hero. In fact, they have the letter evidence in this from the Attorney General of the United States in 1965. Just as they orchestrated the Panther 21 from the Black Liberation Army into saying they were trying to destroy New York monuments that led the Fannie to being arrested. Just as they orchestrated discrediting and arresting many of the leaders of the Congress on Racial Equality here in New York City. They were meticulous in discrediting not just the movement, but the leaders of the movement. Who more personified the Black liberation movement in America in 1965 than civil rights icon Malcolm X? And so Ray Wood knew at this place in 1965 when he was sitting there, he figured out that they were trying to do what they could to stop another Black Messiah from uniting African Americans like Jacob Hoover did back in the 1920s with Marcus Garvey. And so this was orchestrated. And the only way we get to justice, Attorney Hamlin, restorative justice or otherwise, is with the truth. And so Reggie Wood will come and share the truth as Ray Wood confession on his deathbed. This man who had been used as a pawn like so many other Black people fulfill for this conspiracy to discredit anything that talk about civil rights for African Americans. I know this is heavy on his heart, and he contemplated how to do this for many, many days. The day is upon him, and so finally he gets to relieve his burden and not worry about it being suppressed or squashed, because he's doing it very publicly. Mr. Reggie Wood.
Good afternoon. I prepared a statement to give on behalf of Ray Wood and my family. Hopefully this helps you to understand more clearly where Ray was coming from, and also understand what I've been dealing with for the last 10 years after finding out this information. My name is Reginald Wood Jr. I am a cousin of Raymond A. Wood, who was a black undercover New York City police officer in the 1960s. I met Ray for the first time in late 2010. He had been estranged from our family for over 46 years. Ray was aging and experiencing many health problems and had a desire to reconnect with the family before he died. I volunteered to move Ray to Tampa, Florida, so that my family and I could look after him. In 2011, Ray learned that he had stomach cancer and wasn't sure how much longer he had to live. Shortly after, he confessed to me a series of detailed accounts of what he participated in during his time as a police officer. At that time, Ray told me not to let him take this to his grave, but to please wait until he passed away to come forward with this information. By 2012, his cancer had gone into remission, and he lived until November 24, 2020. For 10 years, I have carried this confession secretly in fear of what could happen to my family and myself if the government found out what I knew. He lived in constant fear for over 46 years, worried about what the NYPD and the FBI would do to him and his family if he had told the dark secrets that he had held that helped destroy black leaders and black power organizations. After Ray's passing, I found a confession letter that Ray had written and mailed to my father back in 2011. This letter details the FBI, and the NYPD's involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X, and how he was forced to betray his people. This letter helps me to understand the pain and guilt that Ray felt for the last 55 years. He conspired to help the NYPD assassinate Malcolm X. The false arrests and wrongful convictions of several leaders of CORE and the wrongful arrest of Black Panther members, including Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, which led to her giving birth to Tupac in prison.
Unsure how to release this information and keep my family safe, I reached out to attorney Ben Crump, who advised me to place everything that I knew, along with this letter, into a factual memoir and publish it. By making this information available to the world, everyone will know at the same time, and I will no longer have anything to hide, nor can the government quiet me. On behalf of Ray, he wanted the world to know that he is deeply sorry. I hope that this information helps the Shabazz family to more clearly understand what happened to their father on that horrible day. As a black man, I am disgusted to know that what happened 60 years ago is still going on today. We are living under J. Edgar Hoover's Jim Crow system of policing our black and brown people. He is the architect of these constant injustices and tactics against our people. As I stand before you today, I urge everyone who has a voice to speak up and stand up against corruption and systemic racism in policing from the top down. I believe that the United States of America is the greatest country on this planet. And with education, compassion, and the grace of God, we can fix these problems that we are facing. We are the example to the rest of the world. Let's get it together, people. God bless America. I am now going to give a copy of this letter to the Shabazz family. I intend to give a copy of this letter to Khalil Saeed's family, Walter Bowe's family, Thomas Johnson's family, Herb Colliner's family, and Afeni Shakur's family. These are the families of individuals that I am aware of who have been falsely convicted due to race actions. I know that there are others that were part of the Panther 21 trial. For 10 years, I've lived with this burden of this secret. I am relieved that I am able to share this truth with the world today. Before I give this letter to the daughters here, I will read the dying declaration letter of Ray Wood. This is the original letter that was sent to my father on February 9th of 2011. I'm going to read a copy. I preserved it for the district attorney and whoever needs this for the court case to be able to exonerate the people that Ray was concerned that had been convicted because of his actions. It's dated January 25th, 2011. I, Raymond A. Wood, being of sound mind and body, wish to confess the following. I was a black New York City undercover police officer from April 1964 through May of 1971. I participated in actions that in hindsight were deplorable and detrimental to the advancement of my own black people. My actions on behalf of the New York City Police Department, bossy, were done under duress and fear that if I did not follow the orders of my handlers, I could face detrimental consequences. Presently, I am aging with failing health. Recently, I have learned of the death of Mr. Thomas Johnson and are deeply concerned that with my death, his family will not be able to exonerate him after being wrongfully convicted in the killing of Malcolm X. The facts are as follows. April 17, 1964, I was hired by the New York City Police Department. Without training, I was immediately assigned to the Boston Investigation Unit. After witnessing repeated brutality at the hands of my co-workers, in parentheses police, I tried to resign. Instead, I was threatened with arrest by pending marijuana and alcohol trafficking charges on me if I did not follow through with the assignments. Under the direction of my handlers, I was told to encourage leaders and members of the civil rights groups to commit felonious acts. The Statue of Liberty bombing idea was created by my supervisor/handler. Using surveillance, the agency learned that Bo and Saeed were key players in Malcolm X's crowd control security detail. It was my assignment to draw the two men into a felonious federal crime so that they could be arrested by the FBI and kept away from managing Malcolm X's Audubon ballroom door security on February 21st, 1965. On February 16th, 1965, the Statue of Liberty plot was carried out and the two men were arrested just days before the assassination of Malcolm. At that time, I was not aware that Malcolm X was the target. On February 21st, 1965, I was ordered to be at the Audubon Ballroom, where I was identified by witnesses while leaving the scene. Thomas Johnson was later arrested and wrongfully convicted to protect my cover and the secrets of the FBI and the NYPD. I have placed my full confession into the care of my cousin, Reginald Wood, Jr. I have requested this information be held until after I have passed away. It is my hope that this information is received with the understanding that I have carried these secrets with a heavy heart and remorsefully regret my participation in this matter. Raymond A. Wood.
It's not on mic, is it? It's not on mic, that's all.
At this time, we would ask the sister to stop and give you all that.
This is the letter, the copy of the letter, and also the detailed account as raised.
anxiety and uncertainty about all of the facts surrounding the assassination of my and my 5 sisters' father. Any evidence that provides greater insight into the truth behind that terrible tragedy should be thoroughly investigated. My mother turned this place, which once represented tragedy, into the Shabbat Center. It is a place of inspiration and learning, and discovering the truth is always most important to us. Thank you.
At this time, we will take some questions. This letter will be hopefully a piece of evidence to exonerate all of those who Raywood wrongfully implicated in felonious acts, deprived them of their liberty. So we are trying to take some of your questions, Mr. President. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Crump, my name is Dashan Farad. I'm a reporter for Extraction Attraction. And with this new evidence coming out, what I would like to know, will there be an initiative from anyone behind the dais to bring further attention to the counterintelligence program that surprisingly most Americans are still unaware of?
Sir, it will be up to the family. The families who are mostly affected to continue to have an urgent search for truth and accountability. Oftentimes, you have matters of bringing justices, like the assassination of Malcolm X. The United States Congress has taken on its accord to have a commission like the Martin Luther King Commission, the John F. Kennedy Commission, the Robert F. Kennedy Commission. So it is certainly not out of the realm of possibility that the Congressional Black Caucus consider having a Malcolm X Commission as part of the storage of justice, and also to exonerate those who were wrongfully convicted by Raywood, the New York Police Department, and the FBI. We can never forget or downplay the government's participation in the conspiracy to kill Malcolm X.
Hi, this is Ms. Campbell. I'm here in Harlem. What are the legal implications for the Shabbat?
So, what we hope and what we expect is that there will be some effort, certainly we will take an effort and make an effort to try and ensure that the Shabazz family receives justice. If in fact, as it's written in the letter, this heinous act was with the help and support of law enforcement and our government, and certainly I think the Shabazz family is deserving of some sort of retribution by way of compensation to place them in a place that would certainly address the wrong. There's nothing else that can be done to bring back their father, but certainly there's a lot that can be done to assist the family and right the wrong, and that's what we're here to try to do. That's what we're doing.
Have you received any communication from the New York Police Department, or do you expect to be reached out to them?
Well, we expect that the Manhattan District Attorney, as well as the United States Congress, especially the Congressional Black Caucus members and the New York delegation, who I know cares about justice very much, are going to find this very riveting. And the question is, will they act to finally give restorative justice, not just to the Shabazz family, but all those who were affected by NYPD and the FBI orchestrating, using black people as pawns.
Of course, Attorney Ben Crump today had a press conference uncovering what he said was new information regarding the assassination of black nationalist icon, black icon, Brother Malcolm X. A man by the name of Raymond Wood, his nephew today, I believe Jay Wood, have revealed a letter that he had sent in January of 2011. He had been dying of stomach cancer, and he said that he had some secrets regarding Malcolm's grave, regarding Malcolm's assassination, as well as the framing of other black leaders, and the FBI, as well as the NYPD. And so he was mentioning, of course, the COINTELPRO. They didn't mention the counterintelligence program by name. I raised it up during the questioning, but it's just to further confirm, as Mr. Crump had said, that the United States government helped to take Brother Malcolm out, as it helped to take out so many black leaders. And so I'm quite sure viewers are saying that, well, how was any of this new? And I would say, well, this is new to many Americans, because as I said during the press conference, when I asked Mr. Crump, I said that many Americans, most African Americans in particular, most African Americans in particular, are still unaware of the counterintelligence program that was set up to destroy black leadership in America, progressive black leadership in America. So just to let you know, members of the press, we were given a letter signed by Raymond Wood, and there's also a book called The Story of Raymond Wood that they actually had on display. I have a card to let you know, the gentleman. I have a card of course, we have the Raymond Wood story. That's the name of it. But anyway, we were given a letter by Mr. Wood, and he actually goes over the details of his involvement in Brother Malcolm's assassination, as well as framing members of other black organizations.
All right, so out on the line.
I'm gonna have to hold a second. Leaving the Shabazz Center right now. I'm gonna have to get my earphones. But we're leaving the Assalamu alaikum, sir. We're leaving the Shabazz Center. We're here in Harlem. 1 second. I'm gonna put my earphones in. 1 second. Yes.
All right. Yes, we hear you loud and clear, Mr. Farad.
Right.
And if you could.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Razel, you're gonna have to kind of speak. I can barely hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. We hear you fine.
Okay, but I can barely hear you.
Okay. 1 second. Well, we hear you fine. If you could.
Right, but what I'm saying, Razel, you sound very faint, so I'm not sure. I mean, I could. Okay, I'm just going to begin real quick. Okay, while we still have power, I'm here at the Shabazz Center in Harlem. Attorney Benjamin Crump had a press conference today, revealing new information, or they call the new information concerning the death of Black icon Brother Malcolm X. Tomorrow will be the 56th anniversary of his death, and there was a man. What it comes down to, there was a former informant by the name of Raymond Wood. He was here in New York City, and on his deathbed in January of 2011, he had revealed to his nephew, also Mr. Wood, his involvement in Malcolm's assassination. He mentions the FBI.
I can't hear
as well as
Deshaun at all.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, the audience hears you fine. Our Zoom call.
Okay, I
we're
thought I
trying to
heard
patch
Miki
you
say
in.
she couldn't hear me. But anyway, as I was saying, he was revealing, he was further confirming FBI and NYPD involvement in the assassination of Brother Malcolm. Here's a letter. This letter right here is what was given to the press. This is a letter that Raymond had wrote from his deathbed, January 25th, 2011, explaining the role that he played, but also he mentions the role that the FBI and the NYPD played in the disruption of other black leaders and black organizations, which of course to many is common sense. But as I raised during the press conference, I asked Mr. Trump if there were going to be any initiatives to bring attention to the counterintelligence program that most Americans are still unaware of. So he mentions a plot. He mentioned about a February 16th, 1965 plot. They said that it was there was an alleged assault. They called it the Statue of Liberty plot. This letter here was saying that these activists were going to be accused of bombing the Statue of Liberty. Okay, these are Malcolm security people who were arrested on February 16th, just days before he was assassinated on February 21st. And these people that were taken off of Malcolm's detail, his security people, they would, this brother here, Raymond, is saying from his deathbed, he's saying that, he was used to help arrest them on trumped up charge. He didn't know that the target was going to be Malcolm X. So he says that on February 21st, he was ordered to be at the Audubon Ballroom, where he was identified by witnesses while leaving the scene. Thomas Johnson, who was later arrested and wrongfully convicted, he says, to protect my cover and the secrets of the FBI and NYPD. So he placed his full confession in the care of his cousin, Reginald Wood Jr., who, by the way, has a book. I spoke with him briefly. He has a book called The Story of Raymond Wood. So this is what he says now. On his deathbed, he said, I have requested that this information be held until after I have passed. It is my hope that this information is received with the understanding that I have carried these secrets with a heavy heart and remorsefully regret my participation in this matter. Signed, Raymond Wood. Now, during the press conference, his cousin, Reginald Wood, he first became aware of this in 2011, and he said that he had this information for 10 years, but he decided to release it recently. And of course, we became aware of it in the media last night when Ben Crump had sent a press release to news1.com. So we found out about this less than 24 hours ago, those of us in the press.
Well, let me ask you this. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay, try to listen closely. I think the audience can hear me. My levels are looking good.
Yeah, you said you could hear me. Go ahead.
Zoom caller, were you able to hear Dashawn?
Yeah, Deshaun, it's
Okay.
Ani. How are you in DC? How you doing?
Oh, Sister Arnie, I'm sorry, Queen. I thought you were Michi. Sorry about this, Sister Arnie. How you doing, Queen?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm gonna make sure Misha gets this information. She'll probably really, really want to dig into this for Afro's purpose, I'm assuming. And so, it's just, this is so parallel to the movie about Fred Hampton that just came out, Judas and the Black Messiah. And so these
Yes, ma'am.
Black, you're right, the betrayers of our community, they have suffered so badly because he too was cornered into betraying his own people. And when his time or opportunity to feel the power of the movement came, he couldn't even relish in it because he was forced to. And it led to him committing suicide over several years. And so this man has suffered just the same, it sounds like, because pancreatic cancer is no joke at all on the body as well. And to sit with that. But I really, I have interviewed Malak Shabazz before, and so all of the sisters
My good
weren't
friend.
there.
Well, right. It was just
Okay,
right.
so
They
you
were,
are friends. She is so wonderful.
and Ilyasa, the author. But yeah, definitely.
Okay,
You had definitely. But I know, but I don't know why Malak wasn't. Of course, I'm sure she was aware of it, but I may
right.
have to call Sister Malak. But why
Okay,
she wasn't
guys.
here,
I'm sorry to cut
none
you
of my
off because
business.
I don't want to lose my train of thought. Because
Go
I see a
ahead.
comment where a person says that the Nation of Islam is mostly responsible for the assassination. So, by that logic,
But
would
what
you
I,
conclude that there was collusion with
well,
the intelligence
well, see,
apparatus?
Razel, this is the thing, brother, that I have to listen. Now, it's amazing to me that despite all the evidence that keeps coming out concerning COINTELPRO, the CIA, the FBI, people are insistent on hating the Nation of Islam. And we have to ask ourselves, what is that about? Despite all that evidence, it's like people are just intent on just blaming the nation. Even though you have Ilyasa, uh, when she was in the Netflix series, one of Malcolm's daughters, she said it herself that her father realized that the things that were happening to him were bigger than the Nation of Islam. And she even said the same thing on Vlad TV when Vlad had asked her specifically about Minister Farrakhan. So we have to ask ourselves the question, what is it about the Nation of Islam that people are just so obsessed with? Yes, there were members of the Nation of Islam that wanted to kill Malcolm. Yes, we know that for a fact. They felt that he had betrayed Elijah Muhammad. Fine. But what I want to know is, despite these revelations, most people, as I said earlier, do not know what the counterintelligence program is. And when you do tell people what the counterintelligence program is, people still, regarding Malcolm X, are insistent on blaming the nation. You have to ask yourself this question. After Malcolm X was assassinated, why was the Nation of Islam still a target of J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO, otherwise known as the counterintelligence program? We have to think very critically.
Well,
Okay, so we do think critically. Can I jump in on that?
yes, go ahead.
Because this summer I watched whenever it first came out, Who Killed Malcolm X on Netflix. So I'm looking at that now because I didn't want to say the gentleman's name wrong. But the activist Abdur Rahman Muhammad, when he began his journey, and it led to identifying this one gentleman out of the New Jersey mosque who fit the image of the person that was the shooter, the main shooter in this situation. That image and his look and his identity, that was even identified as a character role in Spike Lee's movie on Malcolm X. So this information that there was someone from a mosque to participate has been around for several years and identified on federal government documents. So I don't blame any one organization at all. That's what I would say. But you can't deny that this movie that came out this past summer reveals that there was someone from a mosque involved. That's
Sister
my
Audie,
one liner on that.
Sister Audie, respectfully speaking, when they say revealed to a person like myself who grew up in the activist movement, to me, it wasn't new information, because they had been said that the would-be killers or the alleged killers had came from Mosque number 25, which, they've been saying that. And so my issue is with a lot of these documentaries that come out every year regarding Brother Malcolm, uh, in my judgment, a lot of this information is nothing but rehash or recycled information. Because to me, that had been rather common knowledge. They had been saying that. But as Brother Zaid Muhammad had said, he was a good friend of mine. He was in the documentary, Baba Zaid Muhammad. He said that, okay, let's say this man did do it. Obviously, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that obviously the government has been protecting this man, that they knew where he was and didn't tell anyone or
Absolutely.
let him walk around.
He was a
Yeah, that's the
community
same thing.
man.
That's the same thing I said. It's pretty
Sure.
much. It sounds like more of the same. We knew
I
that
see.
the intelligence, the
Right.
national
Oh,
security state, and their machinations and intrigue, which they are expert at, and their intrigue around the world, that this was more par for the course, and that is it really a revelation that there was
and so, well, listen,
contrived conspiracy that
this
Malcolm
phone is
X's
about to, Brother
security.
Razel.
All right, we'll let it go out, and when it does, we'll conclude the
Right.
broadcast.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry, brother, because I don't just
yeah,
want to zap out on you.
that's okay. So let me finish making my point that you know a lot
And
of
I can barely
people
hear you.
realize that it was par for the course that the intelligence, national security intelligence state would
Hmm.
entrap Malcolm's security to sort of leave his security disorganized, the crowd control security. So, like you says, more of the same. Exactly. Was this really a revelation, in your opinion?
No, no. I know. I know. I think people need to take responsibility though. And if you watch the Judas and the Black Messiah movie, you find out how long it took Fred Hampton's family's organization to even get any monies from the atrocities that took over that entire community in Chicago. They filed for a large amount of millions and they only got maybe 1/7 of it. You know what I mean? Like little money.
Yeah,
So
and I've
then
had the, you know,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, and I've had the honor, of speaking with Fred Hampton, Jr. I know Chairman Fred Jr. I actually, Razel may not be aware of this, but 2 years ago, I actually interviewed him in Harlem, and I believe we kind of touched on this subject. But I know Chairman Fred. I've interviewed him a few times, as a matter of fact. But he kind of, I believe he kind of touched on that as well, because right now, just to, as a side note, there's a campaign to save his father's childhood home. They've been doing a GoFundMe thing for quite some time now, for like over 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
But we have to
So
place emphasis, like I said.
Perhaps out of this, then the family, Malcolm's family, will attain some value from that can be appropriated to them. I just would love for those who are truly accountable just to step up and apologize. I am a Christian woman and I believe in, I believe in everybody having an apology, a public apology to allow for people to go forward. But if you don't have that, then how can we move forward? If you listen to Malak or any of the other sisters, they can have an angry perspective because of their hurt 30 years later and can still exhibit hurt and pain. So what's wrong with the public apology? What's wrong with accountability and admitting?
Brother, I can't talk right now, brother. I'm on the broadcast. You got to go inside and ask. That's it.
That's all I have to say about that. If these organizations could just communicate truth and not be a letter from a man now that he's died, because he didn't want to suffer any more scandal than what he had already been through. So now 10 years later, now they get to have accountability about it. But again, I'm a journalist. I'm not an expert. I'm just a journalist.
Dashawn?
Oh, well, nothing more for me, Razel. Like I said, we're here reporting live in Harlem from the Jabbar Center.
All right, and so that looks like it's going to conclude the.
It was always wonderful hearing from always wonderful hearing from my DC sister Arnie. Always wonderful
it's so
hearing
good
from
to
her.
see you. So good to see you today.
I'm honored.
All right, so if you want to conclude anything, and then we'll go out with your last words, Mr. Farad. Ms. Young, thank you very much.
Well, I already said it, Brad. I got to repeat it again. I was supposed to get the last word by saying Dashawn Farad, live in Harlem at the Betty Shabazz and Malcolm X Center, Extraction Attraction.